how did you get into commentary? Where did it begin for you?
Well, like a lot of these things by accident, I was doing a degree in law, and I saw on Twitter that all the BBC, I've always loved football, always been into football. I was the only girl on my primary school football team. And then I just followed it the whole time, and I just saw on Twitter this advertisement from the BBC. All the local radio stations were going to pick one person to go in and do like a summer scheme following the sports editor, learning how to do everything basically, and I did that, and I absolutely adored it. I thought, oh, this could be good, and should have gone back to finish the law thing, and I said I'm going to give myself a year. Parents were mixed on that news, but it's turned out okay. I basically hung around like a bad smell doing everything. It was the best grounding doing local radio, and then one day the sports editor, who's still a wonderful friend and mentor to me, shout out Jerome Sale, he just said, do you want to fancy giving commentary a go? And I did. Sort of started Oxford United Women doing them, did a bit of Oxford City Men, and where just my mum and dad were listening. So it was really great, sort of very low pressure start on the radio. And then, just built up from there. So I really owe everything to Radio Oxford, who I still do a bit of work for. And just that's how it all began, basically.
Wow. What a start. I think you can turn around to your parents, though, and be like, no big deal. I'm just like the voice of the biggest moment in English women's football history. So I think I did all right.
Terms with it.
Yeah. What did you like? What did you learn in terms of what makes a good footballing commentator? Were you told these things, or were they things that like you just figured out as you went?
Yeah, no, you are. There is a few things that you're told, and there's a big difference between radio and television, as you can probably hear. If you hear like on television, to be quiet more. When you hear a sort of more radio on the television, you can hear it, can't you? It's a bit jarring. You like they're talking too much. So that was a big learning curve. But there are certain things, but it's just picking up bits and bobs. It's so subjective because we all have our favourite commentators and ones that we don't like so much. So it's kind of picking up the things you like, not doing the things you don't like, and I always liken it to being a footballer. The more games you do, the more confident you become, and the sort of processes become more natural. So the kind of more games you do under your belt, then it just gets easier, in my opinion. So it's all about getting that first chance, and that's the big thing, and then building and building and building up from there. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's live, though. This is the thing. So, what are kind of some of the challenges you might have faced throughout your career? Because I imagine it's like a footballer making a mistake in a public forum, for example. Like you're right out there on the edge of everyone can see and hear you.
Oh, it's so similar. If you make a mistake, I've really had to learn this. You have to get it out of your head, really quickly, because obviously you could potentially have another 80 minutes to do, and it's really hard. It's really hard. I mean, I don't know what it's like with anything in life. You kind of embarrass yourself somewhere, and you're kind of on the car on the way home, and you're just going, oh, idiot. It's really hard to kind of let it go, but it's something that it's a must. You must do it because we all do it. I've made every mistake in the book, every mistake, and the important thing is you learn from it and try hardest not to do it again. But I've been given that chance to do the mistakes and then move on. Thankfully, nothing fatal yet. But you never know in this day and age.
What's the prep like? Because I've been next to commentators. I've seen up in the gantry and stuff, and it's pages and pages and highlighters and small notes and tiny little scribbles here and there and endless information. Like, is that again something as you go on, you kind of build up that bank of information, and it's less from scratch, I guess, when you prepare for a game?
Yeah. Definitely. And with women's football, I now feel, it's not an awful lot of work, but the main thing, it's, again, I liken it to a school exam. The main prep is the work, really, and then you've got the 90 minutes, which is the exam. So, you spend an awful lot of time trying to get every bit of information and the salient points on paper and into your head. And the quite devastating thing you learn quite quickly is that you probably use about 10% of it. And you've got all these lovely, beautiful stats that you don't use, and it's quite painful. And yeah, again, it's a discipline thing you have to learn, that when you first start, you try and shoehorn these things in, and it sounds really weird because you're like, damn it, I'm getting this in because I've got this amazing
butcher.
stat.
I'm telling you, it's important.
Yes, like they're doing a throw. You're like, oh, okay, yep. Wonder why she said that. So yeah, it's all these things that you learn along the way. So yeah, that's another big thing.
Got to ask you about your experiences covering England, particularly at major tournaments, and we have to start what it was like covering Euro 2022. Like, for a commentator, that is the dream, right? That is like the pinnacle, to be not only covering a major tournament, your team in a major tournament, at a final, they win, like all the pieces falling into place. You must have just been like, oh my God, this is incredible.
It couldn't, yeah, I mean, honestly, if I could financially, I'd have just retired then, because it's not going to get better than that. And that's not, I don't feel like that's a sad thing. It's just not, because then even if they do it again, it's not for the first time. It's just, honestly, I'm so privileged. It's just such an honour, and I just loved that it all went so well. It all went so smoothly. I had great support from home and also from Rachel Brown-Finnis. You know, it was both our first kind of real tournaments together, and we just clicked, and she's just such a wonderful person, on and off the pitch. And yeah, it just, and then the Lionesses being at home, as you said, a final against Germany at Wembley, it just felt like this is a dream. It just couldn't have gone any better. And then a bit of jeopardy. I remember I started doing my penalty shootout grid, and I was thinking, oh God, I'm not sure if I can take this. I'm really not sure. And then Chloe Kelly scores, and I was really confident after that, because I was starting to, I remember I spoke to Carrie Dunn about sort of the history of, I really wanted to kind of talk about the England players that had gone before, and that, you know, these players could stand on their shoulders and achieve something that's going to be seen by way more people than they did. And I remember starting to talk about that as Jill Scott was swearing and putting it out. And, you know, it was just art, the way they kept it in the corner, those last. I know a lot of people were saying, oh, you went a bit early there. I was like, no, I was pretty sure by then this was it. This was happening, and Germany weren't getting back into this. So, oh, mate, it was just, I wish I could do that again. Like, not do it again, because I feel like it went quite well, but like just to go back and look and experience it again, because it's just one of the best moments ever.
I think we sometimes forget that. Like, obviously watching on the pitch, you're like, these footballers have just achieved their dream. But then you think about everyone who's covering it in whatever way they're doing it, the commentator, the person on the camera, the physios, the journalists in the press box, the photographers capturing the moments. These are all moments where you're like, I cannot believe I've been involved in this and covered this for my job. Like, so many people that day would have been sitting there going, this is the best thing ever. Like, I've reached a high. And like you said, we'll all retire now.
Exactly. No, you're right. I think people forget that of course it's special for the players, but it's just as special for, you know, even like the stewards who were there. They were there, you know, it's just being, even just not being commentating on it, just the fact I was there, I was one of those people who were there, is such a privilege, honestly.
You touched on Rachel Brown-Finnis there, and I want to know what it's like, because you're obviously lead commentator. And when someone has pure head loss beside you, right? I remember the Georgia Stanway goal against Spain, and I can still remember Rachel Brown-Finnis squealing when that goal went in. And like, you have to stay cool, calm and collected. How do you kind of manage your emotions in those big moments?
Oh, it's quite hard, but you just when the book game gets going, you're quite focused on, because it's a lot to think about. I'm always absolutely shattered after doing a game, because you really think about editorial, you know, live. You're kind of thinking about what you're saying, because if you do the wrong turn of phrase, it's jarring to people. You go, oh, no, I don't agree with that. You really have to concentrate. So I don't think when the game starts, it's kind of, I'm pretty in the zone. And I guess that's the only slight drawback. I do sometimes think, oh, maybe I would have preferred to actually just been a fan at that moment. But no, I wouldn't. And I think it's all right. It's England. We're not working for the world feed. We're working for the BBC. So I think it's okay to be a bit biased, I think.
Yeah, a bit emotional as well. And I think if you feel that, I think viewers kind of can appreciate that. But I like that balance of of having, you know, you've got someone who can keep things going while someone else maybe enjoys that 30 seconds and then it brings it back level again.
Oh, she was at the full-time whistle. I had a word, you know, she actually did do a bit of a summary, but she was gone. It's just makeup everywhere. You know, just crying because she was the one, and I'm not even sure she ever was a full-time professional Brownie. She may have been for like a tiny bit, but I'm not sure if she was. She straddled, you know, that paying to play, and I just think it really got the better of her that she'd played with quite a few of those players, and it's just so beautiful, so beautiful.
Tell you what, we recorded our final episode of the Euros on the steps at Wembley, and Rachel Brown-Finnis walked by as we did it, and she came in and had a little chat. So that was a very nice moment at the end of it. I mean, I have here on my thing, I have in my list, what was your favourite game to commentate on? I don't really think I need to ask you that question.
Nope.
You know, when we think about your infamous line, dream makers, record breakers, game changers, have you got that inscribed somewhere and up on a wall? Because that is iconic.
I don't, but it was lovely. In Australia, I met a fan group who had it on a England flag, and that really just touched me so much.
That is so cool.
It's so cool. I'm not going to say it was, you know, I had it sort of in my head because I wanted to think about the day before, the sort of scenarios of if England win, if England lose. So I'm not going to lie and say it was totally organic, but it felt right at the time when everyone was celebrating, and Serena Vivian was kissing the bracelet from her and pointing up to sky for her sister. It just, oh God, Rachel, I know it's not a good start to a Tuesday. I'm going to be all getting all like sort of emotional.
It's safe to say it's the highlight of your football commentating career so far.
Definitely, yeah. And I'm not, as I said, I'm not sure it's going to get better than that. And I'm fine with it because I've had that moment as everyone else did. So yeah.
It's kind of immortalised as well now, as you know, because anytime you see that clip circulating on social media, it's your voice over it, and I think that is pretty cool. You said you've just had another baby, and you're getting back into it now. So what's next on the horizon in terms of you for commentary?
A fair amount of women's football. That seems to be the main, in terms of being able to bring the baby and being able to still be a mum. So that's been it's been great. They've been really accommodating, the WSL, I've got to say, with that, because I'm still breastfeeding. It's been fantastic. He's been in a couple of boxes already. I do think he's going to get a warped view of football, which is slightly concerning. Yeah, exactly.
Booty baby.
Yeah. So he can be with Chloe in the posh seats, because he's not going to be used to the terraces at this point. So that's been lovely. So yes, looking forward to, I'm doing 2 out of the 4 Chelsea-Manchester City games, so in the cup final and so I don't know exactly what order, and then hopefully logistics pending, looking forward to a trip to Switzerland, hopefully, with the family. So should be great. And we've already looked up the Lindt chocolate factory tour, which is definitely something that we're going to have to tick off maybe more than once.
That is such a good idea.